Welcome to Bristol Bay Native Corporation's podcast series, Mug Up with BBNC. Mug Up is a term commonly used in the Bristol Bay region, specifically in the fishing community. It refers to getting together with friends and family for a casual gathering over a warm cup of coffee or tea. It's all about sharing stories, experiences, and connecting with one another. In this podcast, hosted by BBNC's communications team, you'll hear from BBNC employees, community leaders, and passionate individuals who are engaged in BBNC's mission of enriching our Native way of life. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mug Up with BBNC. We are sitting here with Carol Wren and Casey Sifsof. This is part 2 out of 2. We're talking about shareholder development. We just had so much information that we wanted to break it into 2 parts. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about leadership development, training and financial support, one of my favorite topics, youth programs, and anything else that comes up. So hi, ladies. How are you doing?
Good. Hello.
Good.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Let's just jump right into leadership development. What does BBNC offer for leadership development?
So BBNC has a program called Training Without Walls. It's actually one of the longest running leadership programs in the state of Alaska, which is really cool. In 2024, we'll be coming up on our 30th year. So it's a pretty amazing. It was a program that was established by BBNC and in partnership with Chugyung Village Corporation, really looking to identify how do we best support the advancement and the development of Native leaders in our communities. And so the program that we have today, it's a 2-year program. We have 6 training sessions with topics relating to communication and leadership effectiveness. We also have sessions relating to board of director training, legal and financial aspects of management. We talk about workforce engagement and performance. How do you create and develop good working teams? And then also time, stress, and change management, right? Like how do you manage the change that's going on either within your own department or your organization? So just a lot of helpful topics. And again, it's over 2 years, so we have 3 sessions a year. And our training locations, they rotate, which is a cool aspect of the program. We sometimes have them in Anchorage. We like to go in region and hear from community leaders in relation to the topics that we're covering. And then in recent years, we've also included operations. So we go to different member company locations and look at what are the ins and outs of that operation and how it ties to the curriculum that we're covering in that session. And we do recruit for the program every 2 years. We typically have a cohort of 20. One cool thing about the program, though, is that it's not one cohort that starts at the same time. We always are adding more members. And so you have participants that are more seasoned as the new ones come on so that they can help mentor them throughout the program. And then the key aspect, I think, for the program, which is really meaningful to the participants, is the coaching aspect. So we do have a professional coach who's been with the program since inception that really works with each participant on an individual level, assessing what their goals are, what they want to accomplish over the course of the program, and then helping connect them to possible mentors or tools and resources that are going to continue their development over the course of the program. And then just the networking, the sheer networking. We have participants that come from all industries, some from tribal backgrounds, some from corporations. We've had participants that have worked on the North Slope and have shared those insights, other shareholders who've worked for our companies, and it creates a really rich, diverse learning environment for the TWOW program, and those connections last. We have a TWOW group on Facebook for current participants and also alumni, and it's nice for them to have opportunities to engage with each other. And also we bring them back. So we've involved alumni in a lot of different processes, like selecting the new cohorts that we have, the new people, and then also to bring them back as guest speakers because they have a wonderful experience to share with our TWOW participants.
Not only is it the longest running kind of leadership program, but not every Native corporation offers a leadership development opportunity like this. And so I think that it's speaks to the leaders before us in terms of their intent of growing our own and really being intentional about offering that opportunity, right? And what I really enjoy about this program, when I think back on my own experiences professionally, I didn't have this type of opportunity through my corporation. I had to do it and kind of create it within my own employer that I was at, right? Mm-hmm. So I was really intentional about, okay, if I want to grow in these areas, I was able to do that with one employer in particular where I basically got exposed to all of the operations by going and visiting with every leader within that organization. And then while I was going through my master's degree, I was learning while I was doing these things and then gaining some of that experience on the job. This is built in for our shareholders, descendants, and spouses to participate in. And the coach that's been with the program has been with it since inception.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just unheard of, right? Like, so passionate about continuing to grow leaders within Bristol Bay. Like, Tim Pearson is his name. He's been with the program since its beginning. And in the insights that he brings, he really forces people to think outside of the box of what they typically would have thought about, and then just brings resources to the table that people are just not aware of, right? He does his homework, right? Mm-hmm. He's looking at all the different things that are out there, kind of in the forefront, right? He's thinking well ahead and then bringing that information and resource back to our shareholders. That's, and he, just is a person that can give you a objective, right? Like, perspective without all the other factors that might be going into a situation you may be in as a leader, right? He can give you that kind of insight. So that's really hard to actually just find for anyone that's just in a job, right? Like, to have that access to people like that, and then to have the cohort of alumni and the peers that are in the program as they're in and having conversations and learning while in it. It's just fun to watch how they'll be listening to someone and be like, oh, I relate to that. Like, I get where they're coming from. And then on the break, they come and talk to each other, right? To, like, problem solve, to just have conversation and to have that time and space to do that. We don't get a lot of time and space to have those kind of conversations and do that kind of work unless you're in a particular program. Because I think, like, college opportunities, and there's some other leadership programs in Alaska that afford that. But this is built in. It's an opportunity for people. So there's just a lot of facets to it that are amazing.
It's a really amazing program. And I'll just say, I graduated from the program, I forget, in like 2018 or 2019. But Tim still emails me articles that are relevant because, we had those monthly conversations for a long time. And it was really good to see him recently at the Bristol Bay Leadership Forum. But another amazing thing Tim did for me was hook me up with a mentor. And like, that mentorship was the first professional mentorship I'd ever gone through. And my mentor, turns out knew my dad. And so it was really special to me. And Tim, he knows everybody. So, like, no matter what field you're in, he can hook you up with somebody that you can learn from, like, in amazing new ways. And that whole experience was just incredible.
His network is just amazing.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I was going to add to Carol's point about access, so the guest speakers that we have, having a direct connect to BBNC leadership, the board, and also people that are working in our companies, not everybody gets to experience that, right? And they're very personal and in-depth conversations, right? So I think it also just provides another level of insight, right, to your corporation and the people that are working to provide the benefits that we have through shareholder development and also operations that contribute to the dividend, right? It's just a more in-depth look at the corporation and our family of companies.
The other leadership program that we offer is called the Management Training Program. This is a little more individualized, right? So we try to work with our business lines to identify where there are management and leadership positions that we can grow our shareholders into. When we work with them and identify a position, we'll very specifically recruit for this management trainee. It's can be up to 2 years that the training happens. It's more like an on-the-job training, but they enroll in the TWOW program while they're in it. So they get that TWOW experience. They're working in a job that will ideally lend to a management level, and or they're working in management for 2 years, and then ideally moving right into that job full-time at the completion of the training period. So it, again, is more individualized based on what the workforce needs and management needs are across our companies. It's just a great way for us, again, to grow shareholders into the positions that we have in our own organizations.
And I think almost every participant that we've had go through that program to date is working in a management level position.
Yeah, they are. And whether it's working for us or some other company, right? Sometimes BBNC, you may get a job as a shareholder with us, and then another better opportunity comes up that you get to take advantage of. If we were the stepping stone to that next level opportunity, that's going to be a higher level title, better pay, all these other things, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? I think these programs are kind of a stepping stone to whether it's with us or some other company. It's allowing you to grow in your career, and that's the point. Like, that's what we're trying to do. And ideally, we're doing that in region, in Alaska, in our operations, wherever those opportunities may be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Can you share why having BBNC shareholders in leadership roles is so important and how you guys help this initiative?
For me, it's how we keep our communities sustainable, right? Like, we need to have Native leadership at the table to run our organizations in the future, and we can't do that unless we're investing in people. We have to make those investments now so that we have healthy and thriving communities in the future, and you need Native leadership to do that.
I think in my time at BBNC, the people who are the most passionate, the most committed, the ones who really care, who just want the best in any situation or case, is shareholders and their families, right? Because they're a part of it, right? When you're a part of something, you want the best for it, no matter what goes wrong, right or the other. And I think that growing the skill set and the leadership skills of the owners of this company makes a difference, right? And again, it is around sustainability, and we want to continue to grow our Native leadership to continue to have this corporation be successful, and also have success in our communities, right? Not every shareholder will work for the corporation. We need leaders in our communities and in our state, right? So having these types of programs that allows a shareholder to pursue their passions in a meaningful way, whether it's with us or with the state or in whatever realm they're in, that's powerful, right? It's making a difference, right? And we're trying to do that generationally. We just got done from the Bristol Bay Leadership Forum. The Youth Leadership Forum was a component of that. I'm looking forward to the day that we remember back that these young people that were in this Youth Leadership Forum are now in leadership positions, either here or in their community or in the state somewhere. Like, that's the investment we're making now. Like, when that happens, our job has been successful, right? Like, we get to actually see that happen. We remember when they were this high school kid, and
like full circle.
Several years down, are in leadership roles. Like, just is heartwarming to me.
Totally.
And it's also amazing that our leadership 30 years ago understood that. They understood that long-term investment of developing people, which is why programs like TWOW exist today. And we want to carry that on, right? We're going to carry that on and continue to develop it, but it's a good feeling that we're a part of, just something that's continuing to grow and to expand.
And I think that those leadership skills isn't just about corporate development leadership. It also, and I think about, again, also being at the Leadership Forum, there was leadership and people talking about the revitalization and sustainment of our languages and our culture. The issues around economic development and where we need leaders to step up in those spaces. It's broadly thinking about how we're leading in areas that are important to us, and there are, again, younger generations already being exposed and trained into that, and I think that's many organizations have been invested in making that happen. Tribes, village corporations, BBNC, like many organizations collectively. That's the other, I think, power of that leadership forum, is that we're collectively saying this is important to us and we should be working together to make it happen. That is amazing, right? And if we can continue to do that, and I think in many ways with TWOW and with several other programs, we've been told many times that BBNC is a leader in creating these opportunities that others are not, and they oftentimes will come to us and say, hey, can we replicate what you're doing? And we're more than happy to share that.
Yeah.
Like, we want more organizations, Native corporations, tribes, villages to take those ideas on and replicate. That's a great thing.
That just happened on Monday. I was meeting with 2 ANC groups about talking about our TWOW program and the structure, because they're working on developing their own program, and the feedback was, this is amazing. Like, we're gonna utilize this template and tweak it to, you know, how our corporation runs, but it just promotes a really good environment for sharing so that people don't have to recreate the wheel, and it's a good program, it's a good model, and it works, and we want to share that.
Yeah, I love that. I can tell how passionate you guys are. Can you guys talk about the training and financial support that you guys offer?
Yeah, sure. So we have a variety of programs. Again, aside from the program services, there are different financial supports that shareholders have access to. And again, that's shareholders, descendants, and spouses. We have a program called employment support, which is geared toward helping with some of those costs that come up when you first obtain a job, right? Maybe you need work clothing. Maybe you need to be on a flight to get to the slope to start your job. Maybe you need tools. Maybe there's a transportation need of some kind. So it's intended for those upfront costs when you're first obtaining your employment that you wouldn't otherwise have the ability to pay for those things. And so it's just making that gap a little bit smaller so that people can be successful in the work that they're doing, so that they don't have to stress about it when they're first starting a job. We also invest in training on an individual basis through the training support program. We can fund short-term training opportunities that are less than 4 months that are geared toward some type of employment outcome, right? Like, we want to see what type of job or career that you could be getting from taking this short-term training. And then we also invest in industry training, again, looking at the needs of our communities, what's happening in the state. Some of our longer running programs, the CDL training program is one that continues to be a high need for Alaska. And so we invest in that, as well as seeking other funding. So Alyeska is an example of that funding that can help with CDL programs or other like North Slope related type trainings. And then in addition, we're continuing to seek funding opportunities. We got the STEP grant this last year that can help pay for CDL training. But again, that's just an example. We've also done culinary training. We've done Microsoft Office, school bus driver training. That's a need that was identified for the Bristol Bay region, and many others. Those are just a few examples. But we invest in these group industry trainings to help meet some type of industry need that we've identified. And then again, the Alyeska funding, it's a match. So we're matching it with the funding that we have available through training support, because the short-term trainings are expensive. If we don't have all the financial capacity to cover it, we're working with that individual to tap into the other funding resources, whether that's through the state, through our other Bristol Bay partners like BBNC or BBNA, so that they can go to training and everything will be covered.
Yeah. One thing that just came to mind is that you guys offer ongoing CDL trainings, which I know every time we post on social media, it always gets a lot of shares. It's always really popular. And not only having like one deadline, just an ongoing deadline, I think that's so cool that way people can just kind of apply whenever they need.
Right. And the reality of it too is that the schools that are providing the CDL training, they're oftentimes booked up, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are interested in CDL training, it's good to connect with Martha Nealon, our training manager, as soon as you can, so that she can actually get you on the list to some of these providers that are offering, because the need is so high for drivers right now. Almost everyone that we've had trained goes directly to work.
That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
And you get paid pretty good to be a CDL driver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
like right out of the gate, and you don't even need a degree, which is nice.
It's been interesting to see the trend too, because I think back in 2016, we were investing in CDL training, and the intent was to help prepare shareholders for slope opportunities when we used to run the Ice Road program. But back then, you needed 2 years of experience in addition to the training, and so there was sometimes hiccups in getting people employed in that area because they were trained, but they didn't have the experience. Well, employers have had to shift and be flexible because they have a need that needs to be met. Yeah. And so that experience requirement really doesn't exist anymore. People can just go right to work.
The other area in terms of training that we are always trying to develop is to identify what our own operations training needs are and then partner with them to actually create the training. So one example is with the UXO training. UXO stands for Unexploded Ordnance Technician. And basically they're going on military bases and kind of finding those munitions and having to remove them safely. And so we had job opportunities there, and we found a university in Texas that actually offered this type of training that would qualify our shareholders for those jobs. We recruited shareholders for it, they went through the training, and then were able to get jobs with our company. So we're able to create training programs that will meet our own business line needs, but also meet in region our employer opportunities in our villages, right? So we recently just completed a heavy equipment operator training in Dillingham in partnership with the city. It's not always easy to actually offer those trainings in our communities, right? You have to find the equipment, you have to find the space for the training, etc. It's very possible, and it's an area that we're trying to grow in that we're bringing the training to our communities versus requiring people to come out to Anchorage or other locations to do that training. It allows them to get trained in their own home community and then potentially get jobs in their own home community. We're always open to people's ideas around what training ideas they have, and we really just explore what those options are and what it takes to make it happen. Who are the training providers out there that we can partner with? And what are the jobs that are going to then be available upon completion of that training. So those are just another couple examples of how we've created training opportunity that we knew led to a job for shareholders in their community.
Yeah. Just another plug about the UXO, that particular opportunity, the way that the contracts are, is actually a great opportunity for people who commercially fish in the summertime, because most of the work for the UXO happens in the fall and winter, and there's not a lot of work that happens in the summertime. So one of the shareholders that we trained is actually a commercial fisherman, and so he's able to maintain that seasonal work lifestyle that he's had, but also engage in a different type of work in the fall and winter. Just a little plug for UXO for the fishermen out there, if anyone wants to try something new this fall.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to youth programs. I know you guys work a lot with our youth. Can you share about the youth programs and what your department offers or partners with to offer?
We have kind of over the years kind of started to be more intentional about engaging youth with some of the programs that we offer, not only just for the career exploration side of things. I mean, that's a natural thing as you start talking to young people about career opportunities. But then when we started to really look at what's already being offered across Bristol Bay for young people, we wanted to partner with those programs that are already doing amazing things. So one of those is the Bristol Bay Career and Technical Education Program. They actually are a partnership across all 4 school districts in Bristol Bay to offer young people vocational training experiences, right? So they looked at all the industries that are available in jobs in Bristol Bay and said, we're going to help our young people understand what these jobs are, and to the extent that they can, help them get certifications in those areas. So for example, in the healthcare arena, right, healthcare is a big job opportunity that again is struggling to find workers. They expose them to the healthcare careers, but then they help them get first aid CPR and some of these other certifications that you can get as a young person that then gets them ready for whether it's post-secondary education and or going right into a job, right? So you could start out in high school with that first aid CPR and some of those certifications. You could go into a CNA training program and then potentially down the road go into the LPN and the nursing program and then whatever from there. And so we saw what they were doing, and BBNC is financially investing in that program, but also our staff have become more involved in engaging with young people during their sessions, because they have 4 week-long intensives throughout the school year. And again, we've done partnerships in construction, in culinary, in cultural programming. So there's just lots of ways that we've partnered with them in engaging young people on career exploration and just training in jobs. And it ties to our internships, right? We recently, as I mentioned before in the last session around grants, BBNC was awarded a 5-year grant called the CHELAC program, and basically the intent around that is to create internships specifically for high school kids. And so the funding was there to partner with the BBRCTE program. A young person takes, let's say, a culinary class, They gain this hands-on skills development, but then the CHELAC program will allow them to get work experience using an internship that's paid to then help them to explore whether or not this is really a career track that they want to pursue in the long run. Annie Fritzy's the director of that program, and she's been working with regional employers. She's been working with the CTE programs and the staff of that project. So in addition to the work experience, they also have career counselors that are working with juniors and seniors to make sure that they all have a plan for what next steps look like for them. And then she coordinates the employer youth development consortium to really gain insight from employers around what it will take to have youth successfully be placed in an internship program. And so basically that's taking a young person from school to a vocational certification to work experience that then readies them for whatever that next step is going to be, right? So all along the way, we're trying to provide kind of what those next steps can be. The other really key important piece of that is having just caring adults all along that path, whether it's their parent, a teacher, one of our staff, one of the CHELAC staff, the CTE staff. They've got people to really ask questions and kind of explore what's either confusing or what's exciting to them. They have people they can go to kind of pursue those things. So that is a really key program that we're partnering on. As I just mentioned, the Bristol Bay Youth Leadership Forum, Casey's really involved in that. I'll let her kind of share around kind of why we do that and how it has progressed actually from the time that Annie wasn't even a part of our CHELAC program.
Yeah, so it's got a really cool history. So Annie Fritzy, she at the time worked at the UAF Bristol Bay campus in Dillingham and had applied for a grant to host a youth leadership opportunity in Dillingham. And from that time, they began partnering with BBNC in relation to our leadership forum, having youth present at that event and developing a track that would look at topics that were relevant for them in addition to what's happening in the main leadership forum. And over time, we also started involving United Tribes of Bristol Bay. They do amazing outreach across the region because we were really wanting to have a farther reach than having students come from solely our hub communities. And I was really, really happy with this year's cohort. We had shareholders all the way from the Chigniks to the lake area. They came all over the region. And then we also opened it up for shareholders and descendants that were living outside of the region as well, because as we know, as time goes on, we have shareholders that are living in locations across the state as well as the lower 48. We did have a student come from the lower 48 this year with her family to attend, and really an opportunity to engage in cultural opportunities that they just don't have around them in the location that they live. Again, the intent of the Youth Leadership Forum is to expand their awareness of what are the issues that are happening in the state, how can they be involved as a young leader, and then also we try to really emphasize the cultural aspects. Again, some students are more exposed to than others and can help mentor in relation to those activities, but it's just amazing to see their progression over the course of the week where everybody's shy and quiet and then as they gain a little bit more confidence, as they get a little bit more comfortable, by the end of the week they're speaking up and they want to speak up, right? And really thinking about how they can make impact in their community. It's a wonderful program that we hope to carry on in the future, but it's also just a great example of an amazing partnership, right? There's a lot of people that make that program possible in addition to BBNC, right? Because BBNC hosts the main leadership forum, and so we're working with other departments to make that happen. So it's a huge collaborative effort to make it happen.
Yeah, Bristol Bay campus, UTBB,
right.
School districts, it's lots of
right.
kind of key partners that make it happen.
Right, and we did involve the Bristol Bay Career Tech Ed program too. We had over 50 applicants for the youth leadership program this year, which in large part was due because they were having students apply during their intensives. They have a far reach across the region, working in all the 4 school districts, and so it's unfortunate that we're only able to accept 20, but it's just good to see that there's so many young people that are interested in leadership.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple other programs that are being offered in partnership with Bristol Bay Foundation. BBNC has invested in the Alaska Native Science and Engineering program, and so we've hosted a middle school academy for kids from across Bristol Bay. Here this year, the Foundation featured a student who actually was one of our first middle school academy students, and he's now I think a sophomore at UAA in the ANSEP program.
Oh, cool.
So that investment over the years, right, is making a difference, and this young man is pursuing a science and engineering degree. I think it's in engineering specifically, but he also has been able to take advantage of the internships through the ANSEP program, but it really started in middle school, getting him a part of this week-long intensive course where he built a computer and then stayed connected to the ANSEP pathways that are available, now has led him to where he's at today. And so that's a really meaningful program. I think this last year there were about 45 middle school students, and I think we're shooting for up to 50 students to potentially be at that session this summer. They typically do it towards the end of the school year. And again, across all 4 districts, the foundation really coordinates all the activity of the teachers and getting kids, making sure kids are aware of it, the requirements in order to actually apply and get in, the recommendations, and then we recruit the chaperones that then join the kids when they come to UAA and actually participate here in Anchorage for that week. So that's
that
been
exposure
a long running.
can make such a difference in somebody's life,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And you mentioned building a computer. These kids like build a computer and then don't they get to take it home?
They do.
So
like they build
cool.
it from the ground up.
Yeah,
like
that's
they have
so
just
cool.
parts. And then they actually build it and then it works.
Yeah.
And how long is that academy?
I think it's a week. It's 7 to 10 days, I think.
It's
So
impressive.
yeah, and they get exposure, right, to being on a university campus. They're kind of exploring that and then getting to meet kids from across the region as a middle schooler, right? So I think that's the other really neat connection.
And
that people
do they
are
stay
having.
in the dorms?
They do. Yep, they stay on
Awesome.
campus. I think they're even eating at the cafeteria. Like it's all about being at the university and then that individualized curriculum they're getting.
Mini college kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool because then it kind of takes the fear away. Like if you were born and raised in a rural community, sometimes it's scary to go out and think about going to college in Anchorage or the lower 48 and like not knowing anybody. So having that, like living in the dorms, getting to meet new people, introducing yourself, learning about school, is such a cool program.
At a middle school age.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
Like I remember doing that when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And still feeling homesick and
Yeah.
kind of experiencing those things. They're getting to do that in middle school.
I think it's important for young people to visualize themselves in those spaces, right? Like you're there, you can see yourself there, and like you said, that makes it a little less scarier. The one thing that I wanted to say about ANSEP is that program, again, promotes academic excellence and just persistence, right? So they do get to keep the computer if they pass a certain number of higher level courses, right?
Okay.
Like that's the intent of it. And again, it's important even if you end up not going in a STEM field. And I know this because I did the ANSEP program when I was in high school out in Dillingham. And again, that's not the field that I work in today, but it motivated me to do well in those courses so that I could get that computer and then motivate me to go on and get my degree. It has a lot of unintended outcomes, not just for people that are going in the STEM field, but to encourage young people to perform well academically and where that could possibly take them.
Another awesome program you guys do that exposes folks to a potential industry is the Fly Fishing Guide Academy.
Yeah, so actually that program is primarily run through Trout Unlimited. They're a nonprofit organization. BBNC is a partner to the Fly Fishing Guide Academy. I think they just hit their 10-year anniversary. And really it was created to expose young people in Bristol Bay about fly fishing, right? Very familiar with subsistence fishing, and there's the commercial fishery. There was an awareness that there are job opportunities and activities around sports fishing and fly fishing specifically, and then the popping up of many lodges across the region. So there was very specific intention about creating a program that allows our young people to learn about that industry.
Yeah, so it's usually like a 6 to 7 day program, and in addition to learning about how to fly fish, again, they're learning all the basics, right? How to tie the knots, how to cast, how to interact with a client, which the end of the week results in a mock client day where they have to guide somebody on the water and teach them how to catch a fish through fly fishing, which is really great. And I had never experienced fly fishing before, helping out with that program. The first year that I helped out, it was out at Lake Iliamna at Intricate Bay Lodge. And it's so fun. It's so fun to do that type of fishing. I fell in love with it. But it's amazing that we have all these wonderful opportunities happening in our backyard in the region, but most kids didn't have, or most people didn't have the opportunity to go to these lodges. So again, I grew up in Dillingham. I had never been to Mission Lodge ever, and it was always just right there. And I was able to go there for the first time helping out with this program. In addition to just the ins and outs of fly fishing, they learn about customer service and also the importance of conservation. The Land Trust has been a key partner in helping with the funding aspects of this program. And so there's components of that as well, with an ecosystem where you have fly fishing, subsistence, and commercial fishing. Like, how do they all have to work together to make sure that that ecosystem stays intact? So the conservation piece is huge as well. So it's just a well-rounded program. They get to keep the gear that they get so that they can continue to fly fish and teach others how to fly fish. And so there's so many amazing sponsors that go into making that opportunity happen. But we feel fortunate to just be involved. Again, the component that we do in terms of staff time is to go in there and help with the initial start of the program, all the fun icebreaker activities. We're also talking to them about their resumes, like how do you translate what you're learning here onto your resume. Again, you may not want to go into the industry, but you're learning a lot of amazing skills that you can transfer to other opportunities, and it's just a fun week.
Guiding is one aspect of the job, but there's also the culinary, there's also the housekeeping, there's also there's so many facets to a tourism operation that you can expose young people to. And so the customer service side of things, they get to do that hands-on. And I just want to recognize that Luki Akokok and Tim Troll were kind of the founding people for this program. And for us, it has now really aligned as BBNC has gone into the tourism space. It really has aligned with exposing young people to all those careers and the option to really consider working for one of our lodges or tourism operations. There's also the whole aviation aspect, right, in tourism too. So it exposes to careers, but then gives them kind of that hands-on experience. We more recently have been talking with them about what the next steps can be around the six-pack.
The Coast Guard license.
The Coast Guard license that is really required for you to operate a boat, right? Like that's the other next step that you can help and guide people in. It has really been a great success and continues to really help young people see what their options are, especially in the tourism industry. The last two programs I just want to share that we have done in partnership with other organizations is Junior Achievement. This is where we have either our staff or some of our subsidiary staff will go into our schools and really teach about financial literacy, to teach about career exploration. There's curriculum from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. Like I've taught like the kindergartners, and what you teach them is very different than when you teach the seniors in high school. But it's a fun way just to engage and share information about money, really, and money management to kids. And then the other program that we've partnered with is called Student Conservation Association. And it really just allows our young people to work in week-long intensives in our national parks, right? So we've got national parks in Bristol Bay, and they work in a crew that helps them do an actual project. So like they'll either create or maintain a trail in one of the parks. In that intensive week, they're having to work together. They're in a remote location, and so they're having to deal with how you interact in a really intensive remote location, work with each other, problem solve, and get a project done. And the Student Conservation Association is a national organization, and so they then can be exposed to working in crews anywhere in the United States if they want to, post-high school, because they go from high school experiences to they have internships with other parks across the United States to broader opportunities even in leadership level positions. And so getting exposure to again, conservation, land management, but also then working in a cohesive team as a young person It's a really meaningful and life impacting for them. There's many kids actually who haven't even been in our parks, even from our own region, which is crazy to me. And so that was one of the reasons around this partnership, was that we need to get our young people to our own national parks in our region to get exposed to that. And there's a whole slew of federal careers that are available to them, and being exposed to this is just one way to do that.
And I think when you think about cultural tourism, which is an area that continues to grow, we need to be providing opportunities so that we get more Native people in those types of roles to really provide an authentic experience, whether it's at the parks, whether it's fly fishing. I know the success stories that we have for the Fly Fishing Guide Academy, the guides that are local are who the customers always request, right? Because they're the icing on the cake. Not only can they teach them how to fly fish, they can teach them about the land that they're around, the history, the traditions. If they go berry picking, they can tell them all about that, right? It's all those little details that the average person wouldn't know, but our people know those things, right? So they can provide a very enriched experience for people exploring our parks and the lodges that we have in the region.
So cool. One thing we haven't touched yet for youth programs is the BBNC Culture Camp. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So BBNC has created a culture camp for high school students. I think unfortunately, I think the first year was the COVID year. We had to kind of adjust and offer some distance stuff. But
3 years, I think.
And it's an opportunity for our young people to experience a camp that just is, we have elder involvement. I think the other really unique thing about our culture camp is it is exposing young people to all three cultures of Bristol Bay. So in the design and development of this camp, we ensure we have elders that are representative of all three cultures. We have instructors, and the language of all three cultures is being represented and being taught. And then all the cultural activity that's created at each camp. We have some that's replicated. They're processing fish. They're doing dancing, yugak, and also dancing and in all three cultures as well, right? So Din'ina, Sukbiak, and Yupik. So in song and dance, in language, and in just traditional activities, young people are being exposed to all of that during their kind of week-long experience at camp. I think they hear stories from the elders. They have a mug up just like this, but it's elders talking to them, sharing their own personal experiences and stories. They often go berry picking. They have made drums, and again, we try to incorporate drums from different cultures because they all are unique, right? And it's really kind of instilling that respect of the diversity of our region, but then the cohesiveness and the collaborative nature of what we want to accomplish as a region. It's all hands-on, right? They're intense. They're living together. They get to go swimming. They get to
exposure to bears.
Yeah, and safety. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. And fun stuff like kayaking and different things to engage as young people, but then infusing a lot of content that is just culturally enriching for young people. So we've done that for the last 3 years. And from the first year, one of the feedback comments that we got was, man, I wish we had this for a little bit older people.
Yeah, I'm going to say the millennials need a culture camp.
And so we took that feedback, actually, and actually had our first young adult culture camp this year. Originally, we were supposed to be in Lake Clark, but we got rained out due to weather, so we had adapted and still had the camp. But it was just as enriching and really powerful because the content and the conversations you could have are related to where you're at in life, right? And so there was a lot of really meaningful conversation about identity and about, what it means to be Native for them and what they'd experienced, some of it really hard and some of it really positive. Just a story from that campus, we had a shareholder who grew up in Louisiana, actually had never been to Alaska.
Wow.
Knew about their cultural identity, but had not really had a chance to kind of explore and talk to other people about that. And so when he came, the elders figured out who his family was, and he actually was gifted a Native name based on the connection to his original roots here in Bristol Bay. And then he ended up actually staying in Alaska for another like 2 weeks, almost a month, I think,
Oh, wow.
just because he had
Aw.
relatives in Seward. Like he got to reconnect to family, reconnect to cultural activities he never got to experience growing up in Louisiana.
Mm.
So I thought that was really powerful. And for those that had grown up either in region, they were able to really kind of share their personal experiences. Again, it just broadens that connection that they have with each other. It strengthened kind of their sense of identity while also struggling through some of the hard stuff that we all kind of generally know about. And so I think it was a great initial kind of kickoff camp that we hope to continue into the future. And I think every probably generation could use a culture
Oh,
camp
Yeah.
because it all, again, is meaningful, and it is just kind of helps you in your identity, but just in your way of being, right? And the things that are important to you. So the camps are a really meaningful way to make that happen. So we're really happy to be a part of that experience for young people and a little bit older young people.
Young adults.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm excited for the youth of our future who get to go through these programs, and it's really going to make a big difference in their lives.
BBNC is one camp. There are many other kind of community-based camps, and the Bristol Bay Foundation offers community-based camps as well. I just feel like there's been a growth, an expansion of cultural enrichment that young people in all generations get access to, that it's really exciting to see. It's like people want to dance, they want to sew, like just more recently, like everybody's making their own kasbaks, right? Like it's, there's a lot of pride there that I think that kind of shift has happened, and it's only going to get better.
So awesome.
It is. It's amazing.
Well, I know we talked about a couple of success stories, but any others that come to mind that you guys want to share?
Yeah, so, we had talked about internships earlier, and I just wanted to say that internships, again, are a great way to gain experience, but we have had a lot of success from them, right? Like you shared, Kayla, about your experience. There's many other examples of that we've had here at the corporation, as well as our operations, where they've hired on people that intern. Again, they got that opportunity to see how they work, and really that network opportunity, right, that work experience is what got them hired, right? So we want to continue to do that and see success from those programs. And I just wanted to say, Butchie Lind is the coordinator of that program, so if you are interested in internships, please reach out to her. She's always welcoming and interested in talking to people about where they want to be and how an internship experience can help them. And also, Butchie just knows everyone. Like Tim Pearson, she has an amazing network, so definitely tap into her knowledge and the network that she has.
Communication.
And communications, yeah, if you want a communications, they are one of the funnest teams here at BBNC. The other one, just relating back to the Fly Fishing Guide Academy, Tiana Fischler is a shareholder who was a part of the first cohort of the Bristol Bay Fly Fishing Guide Academy and really loved it, loved the lifestyle of it, and wanted to pursue more. So she did, go through and get her Coast Guard license, started working at a lodge. I believe she started actually as a housekeeper, and that's how she got her foot in the door and eventually worked her way up to guiding. She did participate in the management leadership program that we talked about earlier, and is now working as an assistant manager at the lodge, with the hope that she's running and managing that lodge one day. So
At Mission Lodge,
At
right?
Mission Lodge, correct. Yeah, so it's just amazing to see the whole scope of her development, her professional development, and the different intersections that the corporation had in making her successful.
You guys are always adding something new or doing new things that helps out our region and our people in some amazing way. And recently, you guys held a mobile DMV event in Manicota. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we're really excited about this partnership. It was
2019
that we actually hosted our first mobile DMV. And this really came about because as we were looking at what we could be doing to help shareholders get jobs, especially for our shareholders that are living in region, one of the biggest challenges was getting the driver's license and getting an ID. most oftentimes the ID is necessary, like you have to show ID in order to actually do the hiring paperwork, right? But also most jobs are going to require a driver's license. Well, as we know in our communities, we only have 2 DMVs in Bristol Bay, in 2 hub communities. The rest of our villages don't have a DMV service, and you can't actually get that online, right? And so one of the things to address that barrier was try to come up with solutions to actually address how do we do that. And so Martha Nealon, one of our staff, really was passionate about this area. We started engaging with the DMV to find out, do we have the ability to bring the DMV to our communities versus our residents basically having to fly to Anchorage or to a hub community in order to get these things. And so they actually had been working on a mobile unit, is what it's called, which basically allows you to do the picture and kind of does all the processing and paperwork that you need for the driver's license and for the real IDs. And so our initial program was done in New Stuyahok, and it was a great success. We partnered with the tribe and with local residents to really, you have to get people ready for the license, right? So you have to pass that initial test, the road test, or the written test first, in order to even then take the actual road test. And so we had someone locally that was working with residents who wanted to do the driver's portion to take that written test. And so they proctored the testing, they got them all ready so that when DMV and our staff went out, they had mapped the road route that they needed to take. We had the vehicle ready, and all they had to do was show up and take the test. And so we made that happen. And in addition, again, DMV offers a lot of services. Real ID is kind of an important thing, as they kind of continue to extend the deadline for getting the real ID, but it's going to be a key piece to have for travel or just kind of in general use. And so they processed a whole bunch of real IDs while they were there. And so we kicked that off, and then COVID happened, and so we had to do a hold off on that. But we re-engaged recently, and were able to then go to Manicodic and, again, offer the same thing. We work really close with the DMV to kind of coordinate the visit. That upfront planning of collecting all the documents, right? Yeah. They have a really high turn-away rate at the Anchorage DMV, because oftentimes you bring in whatever they say you need to bring. You don't bring the right documents, and they say come back. Well, in our recent experience in Manicodic, the DMV staff said this was the most real IDs they had processed, even from their Anchorage office, because they didn't have to turn as many people away, because we had local folks there helping them gather all those documents that prevented them from having to be told, sorry, you need to go get this, sorry, you need to go that. We had people there helping with all those documents that allowed them to get the real IDs. So off the top of my head, I think collectively between New Stu and Manicodic, I think we were at 177 real IDs. Wow. And then around 80-ish for the driver's licenses. I think that's about right. We've been working with Togiak and with Port Haydn. So those would be the next 2 communities that we work with. And then Martha will continue to work with other communities that want that service in their village. And so, again, it's, for us, the motivation was around getting key documents and things that are needed to get a job. But overall, we all need those things. So it's providing that immediate benefit. For high school students, right, before the actual mobile DMV, schools were offering some of the online studying for the written test. And so we continue to partner with organizations that are already doing that. But having the physical presence of the DMV in your community, that's a big game changer. So we're hoping to be able to continue that.
Removing a huge barrier that our communities face.
Exactly.
And if they travel to Anchorage to take their test and forget the document that they need, then, that's a whole other barrier for them.
And we still have, when we have folks coming in for training in Anchorage, like if they have, we had someone in our culinary class recently, they're like, I got to go to the DMV. Like they took, a quick break and went and got that done because they were here in town. This hopefully will afford us the opportunity to actually, again, be in those communities that doesn't require people to pay the expense of a flight and lodging and all these things to get something that most of us in the cities are easily accessible. So it's exciting. We're, in talking to Martha in terms of just how exciting it was when the day that, again, DMV showed up, and just the feel, it was just excitement and appreciation and just relief, right, that you can actually get these things in your own community.
Yeah.
That should be the case anyway.
I mean, I live here in Anchorage, and the thought of going to the DMV, like, oh, no, I still need my real ID.
And hopefully it's the trend of just expanding those opportunities across Alaska. I mean, Bristol Bay, that situation you're going to see all across the state. And so hopefully this is the first of many, and it opens just access for rural Alaska.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so just to wrap up, I'd say no matter what age you are, if you're a kid looking for an awesome youth program, if you're in school, if you're not in school, if you're older, if you're in your 50s or 60s and want a career change, Shareholder Development can help you. And if not, they can find someone to help you. So if you are interested in any of these programs, please reach out to them. Carol and Casey and their team are just amazing people. And like I said, you can really feel the passion when you guys talk about it. You guys wouldn't be in these jobs if you weren't passionate about it. So we appreciate all the hard work you do. You guys are amazing. So how can these folks get a hold of you guys if they want to participate in any of these programs?
Yeah, so they can reach out to us a number of ways. We're obviously available by phone and email. We have staff here available in the office in Anchorage. We also have staff available in Dillingham. We can travel to communities as needed to provide direct services as well. So that's an option that folks can inquire about. And then we have a variety of online resources. So we have information on BBNC's website. We have our own Facebook page, which is Shareholder Development. We share a lot of different opportunities on that page relating to employment and training and also cultural opportunities. We have a new group page called the Bristol Bay Workforce Development Consortium, which is an effort to bring stakeholders together to talk about workforce-related opportunities and issues for the Bristol Bay region. So find that group if you're interested in engaging in that dialogue. And we also have a TWOW for alumni and current participants. We have a Facebook group for that program as well.
In closing, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to our team. That includes Casey, includes Butchie Lind, Rachel Treacle, Rebecca Seedor, Annie Fritzy, Manon Dementif, and Martha Anealon. This team, as we said, is really passionate about doing good work and really having an impact and being helpful. So a big thank you to them. And please, again, reach out to us just with questions, with just inquiries in general. That's what we're here for, and we look forward to engaging with you.
I just want to thank you guys for being here with us today, and thank your team for all the amazing work that you guys continue to do. Like, you guys are making such a difference for our future, and we appreciate everything that you guys do. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we can have you on a future episode because I'm sure you'll be doing something new in the next few months.
Always.
You guys are always welcome back.
Thank you.
Awesome. Koyana.
All right, bye guys. Thanks for joining.
We are the legacy of our elders, each of us unique, with gifts to give and histories to make. Our resilience will carry our voices forward to build the future our elders imagined. We are the next generation of Bristol Bay Native Corporation shareholders, and we share so much more than a corporation.